So this is lesson 53, B as in boy, algebra 2, continuing with our metric units of measure, but now we're going to go from English to metric, meaning that if we are given something in yards, we may be changing it to meters. So what we need in order to go from the metric system to the English, or from the English system to the metric, is we need a crossover. We need something that we can use to cross over from, let's say, the English version to the metric version. So what we're going to use as that crossover is 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So for example, if we are trying to convert 32 yards to meters, we're going to do it just like we always did. 32 yards times line, yards on bottom, and we need to know, is there a conversion between yards and meters? No, there isn't. But if we're going to use this as our conversion, we're going to have to change to inches and then change our inches then to the metric. So we'll put 1 and we'll put 36 inches here. Cross out our yards. Inches is not what we're looking for, so we keep going. Do we know a conversion between inches then and centimeters where we're going? Yes, we do. We know that 1 inch we have 2.54 centimeters. Centimeters is not what we're looking for. We keep going. We cross out our inches. Put centimeters on the bottom, and we're trying to get to meters. Do anything about centimeters and meters? Yes, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Cross out our centimeters. That's what we're looking for, so that's where we stop. So now we multiply everything on the top. Okay, and everything on the bottom. So we have that big old long thing there. So 32 times 36 times 2.54 over 100. And at this point, we're just going to leave that. You can go ahead and multiply that out, but I don't need to show that because you can do the rest from there. Alright, so let's look at another one. So let's get rid of all of this. And let's go from 0.042 kilometers squared to miles squared. So again, we write our beginning conversion times line, because of the squared here we have to do it twice. Do we know anything about kilometers in miles? No. Do we know anything about kilometers in centimeters? No. But we do know kilometers and meters. So that gets us close to centimeters because we're going to a smaller unit. Alright, so then we cross out both of those with both of those. Times line. Do I know anything about meters and miles? No, I don't. But I do know meters and centimeters. So that's my crossover. So I have to go all the way down to centimeters, cross out meters, and centimeters is not what I want. And let's continue this down here. But it is my crossover. So I can go 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Okay, so then cross these 2 centimeters with the 2 up here. Times line. Do I know anything about inches and miles? No, but I do know that there are 12 inches. Notice I put it on the bottom because my inches are on top here. In 1 foot. And again, I have to write it. I have to write it twice. And then I can cross out inches here with inches up there. Is feet what I'm looking for? No, I'm still trying to go bigger. So, times line. And I know there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And that is what I'm looking for. So this will be my last one. And I can cross out those 2 feet with the 2 up here. And miles is what I'm looking for, so I'm done. So what am I multiplying? 0.042 from here times 1,000 times 1,000. I'm just going to write as 1,000 squared. That gets rid of those. Times 100 times 100, so I'll put 100 squared. And then all these ones here, so I won't worry about those. Over. Ones are all here, so I don't have to worry about those, but I do have 2.54, and then I have 12 times 12, and then I have 5,280. Okay, and that's where we'll leave it. I'm assuming that you can multiply all these through, and then when you're done, you'll end up getting square miles. Okay, so that is the English unit to metric, as we're going to use centimeters and inches, and that comparison is our crossover. So you're going to have to get everything to that point and then work yourself back like I did on this one. Alright, so 53C section has to do with weight combination by percent. Okay, so far we have looked at relative weights of elements. So if we had something like NaS2O3. So if you haven't had chemistry, this is sodium, this is sulfur, and this is oxygen. This tells me how many atoms I have of each one. So I have 2 atoms of sodium, 2 atoms of sulfur, 3 atoms of oxygen. Okay, so let's look at what the total weight of this thing would be. Well, sodium, 1 atom of sodium weighs 23. So, well, let's kind of label things here. Na is 23. And then if we have 2 of them, we have 46. Sulfur weighs 32. And if we have 2 of those, we have 64. Oxygen weighs 16, and if we have 3 of those, we have 48. So the weight of this entire thing would be the weight of each one of them. So it would weigh 158 grams, let's say. It's called the gram molecular weight. But anyway, it weighs 158. Okay, so probably not too hard to figure that out. Alright, so if we want to know what percent of the total each of these are, we would just take, like for the sodium, we would take how many grams over 158. And that would give us a decimal, in this case 0.29. And then we'd change that to a percent, move the decimal place over 2, and 29% of that total here is sodium. Now if we wanted to find out how much was sulfur, it would be 64 over the total weight. And 64 over that total weight would be 0.41. Move the decimal over twice, and we get 41% of the total weight of this stuff would be sulfur. And you do the same with the oxygen. 48 of the 158 total gives me 0.30, which is 30%. Now when I add these percentages up here, I should get 100%, meaning I've got all I need. And that's it for lesson number 58 or 53. So when you do these problems, go back and look at your notes and look at this lecture, because again, there's not much sense in continuing on here and doing some of the problems, because I pretty much just did the problems that they're going to give you to do in the homework. Alright, so that is it for lesson number 53.